What's up, everyone? So we've had an unusually wet and rainy last couple weeks. Today's the first sunny day in a bit, so even though I did some steady state early this morning, weather's just too nice to pass up. Figured I'd get out for just a short, light jog. So let's lace them up and head on out. Oh, it is a beautiful day. Man, spring is in the air. And how I know that is that my allergies, actually this started even a couple weeks ago. We had a week where it was decently warm and sunny for this time of year, and you saw flowers blooming everywhere, and my allergies started acting up. Could be in for a long allergy season. Seems like every year it gets worse. Today, I'll talk a little bit about motivation. You know, what motivates me, but I think more generally, different things that motivate each and every one of us. I'm thinking a lot about this lately, and I'll be honest, not always positive thoughts, but anyways, I'll get into that in a minute. I guess I shouldn't be surprised the trail's so busy today. It is a very nice day, after all. But anyways, so yeah, motivation. Now for me, I think a lot of what motivates me, my motivation, if I'm honest with myself, really is rooted in my childhood. And what I think in some ways was a bit of a trauma response to being bullied and feeling very alone and isolated during much of my childhood. I'm saying more elementary school, middle school age. You know, as I've talked about in some of my other videos, I was bullied quite a bit, and I won't go into details here, but I didn't have a lot of friends. And whether it be at school or at home, I guess, didn't really get a lot of validation. And so, oh gosh, from almost as far back as I can remember, even like first grade, I think I figured out that one way to get recognition was by outworking my peers. You know, if I wasn't going to be cool on the playground during recess, if I didn't feel like I got a lot of praise or recognition at home, hey, at least by working harder in the classroom, I could at least get recognition from my teacher. That was a start. So I remember even in first grade, we would get these little math worksheets. These were 8.5 by 11s cut in half. It was called CompuCat. I remember this still. That's how significant of a memory I guess this is for me. But I would be doing these CompuCat worksheets in first grade. Mrs. Fox was my teacher. And I would always race to be the first one to finish. You know, I'd rush through the worksheet, finish it, slam my pencil down on the desk, and my hand would go up immediately. And I'm done. And, you know, I'm trying to put myself back in the mind of a 6-year-old, which my daughter's in first grade now, so it really feels real. I think in my mind at that time, this got me recognition from Mrs. Fox. Although I don't think I recognized it at the time. Honestly, probably brought on more ridicule from my classmates, so I don't think it helped lessen the bullying at all. But at least I could feel like I was good at something. So again, I think I figured out pretty quickly that, you know, I was relatively book smart, good in school, and I would never be the most popular kid on the playground, but damn it, I could be the smartest kid. And that was enough fuel to motivate me through my early childhood. And I think that worked to an extent. I wasn't confident socially in social settings, but I did start to build my confidence at least, or believe that I was smart, which I certainly don't take for granted. I know many kids have the opposite experience where, you know, they get bad grades and maybe their parents don't help them and other kids make fun of them and they end up believing that they're dumb, that they're not smart, which is, it's just got to be a terrible way to feel as a child. So I was fortunate at least in that I had good teachers. I want to give them a lot of credit for that helped me succeed in the classroom. But you know, I was that classic kid all the way up through probably early high school. Again, I'd be that kid always raising my hand, answering all the questions, a bit of a teacher's pet perhaps, always trying to be the first one to finish any exercise in class. So really, I think my competitive drive also is rooted in those early years as well. Not only did I have to be, or want to be the smartest, I wanted to be the fastest to do anything. And then I got to high school, and as I've talked about in other videos, kind of by happy accident, started rowing and realized that, oh, I'm actually pretty good at sports too, and rowing in particular. And so, you know, again, I received a lot of external validation that helped fuel that fire through my high school years. I did love rowing. There was some intrinsic motivation there as well. Like, I genuinely loved the sport, and you know, I have lots of fond memories of early morning rows, not necessarily getting up early, but being on the lake when it was mirror flat. I mean, mirror flat, and not a sound except maybe the birds and sound of the water running along the hull of the boat. Any rowers listening will know exactly what I'm talking about. Sounds of the oars going in and out of the water. Very, very special. But anyways, it's actually a good point to talk about. What do I mean when I say intrinsic versus external or extrinsic motivation? So, you know, internal motivation or internal motivating factors are things like, you know, enjoying learning and growth for the sake of learning and growth, just because you're a naturally curious person. Maybe you're exercising because you love the way you feel after a workout. You just like feeling healthier, fitter. It brings you great satisfaction to do that. Right? These are all intrinsic or internal motivating factors. You don't necessarily care what's happening around you or outside. And external or extrinsic motivating factors would be, you know, external rewards. Maybe money. Think about all of us in our jobs, right? We're more often than not extrinsically motivated to work because we get paid for it. External factors could also include praise or validation from friends, family, other people. How you perform in competitions, right? You win a medal. That's an external signal. Extrinsic versus intrinsic motivation. And, you know, I said at the beginning, I've had mixed thoughts about this subject because I've been asking myself this question a lot recently. Now that I'm 3 to 4 months into my journey, and I've been sharing a lot of it publicly through this channel and just with friends and family in general, I've been asking myself the question of, if I didn't share any of this, if I didn't have this YouTube channel, if I wasn't telling any friends or family about it, would I be as motivated to do this? You know, would I be as motivated to put in all the training, put in all this time spent making and editing these videos. Is there enough intrinsic motivation alone to fuel me? And if I'm totally honest with myself, I think the answer is no. You know, from the very earliest stages of me embarking on this journey, I told, at first, just some of my closest friends and family about what I was doing, and I think at that time I thought of it more as an accountability tool. Hey, if I tell people I'm going to do something, you know, come hell or high water, I'm going to do my best to do it and see it through. So I remember that was the thought process at the time, but soon thereafter, and once I started actually getting more fit and cranking out some decent times, in my humble opinion, decent performances on the erg, I started sharing those with friends as well. And you know, the feedback I got was, you know, made me feel really good. That's only intensified a bit since launching this channel now. And this is where I think cognitive dissonance comes into play, where on the one hand I think, man, it's pretty awesome that there are, heck, even 50 people out there in the world who are interested in my content and my journey and what I'm doing. Like, that's pretty cool. And don't want to let those people down. And then on the other hand, though, right after I think that, I'll think, well, but these are 50 strangers. These are people I don't even know. Why do I care about what they think? And I don't mean that in any kind of insulting or arrogant way, but this is my logical brain kind of running through this, right? Like, the people that are watching me on YouTube, I've never met before, never seen them. Maybe we've exchanged a few comments on the platform, but they're not people I know. So why? Why do I care so much? And I think there's a part of me, and this is what my therapist used to tell me, where she would say, you know, the way we respond to situations, particularly difficult ones, as adults, is largely rooted in how we learned to respond to those situations as children. So trauma responses, right? Or not, it's not necessarily always trauma, but just stress responses. And, you know, again, when I was a little kid, I guess I figured out that the most effective way for me to feel good about myself was to just try and be better, smarter, faster, whatever it was, classroom or sports. That was how I was going to get that validation. And so I think even this, you know, this journey that I'm on now, yeah, if I'm honest, I think I'm still chasing that external validation, right? That, I guess I just need that affirmation that, you know, I'm doing good work. You know, thankfully, I have a lot more self-confidence nowadays, and I don't need anyone to tell me that I'm working hard and doing well, but it nonetheless feels good to receive praise, even if it's from strangers on the internet. I think for a long time, even as I was thinking about this, I viewed intrinsic and extrinsic motivation as being mutually exclusive, when in reality they're not. I used to think it was black or white, like either you've got that fire inside, you don't need anyone else to tell you, motivate you, or you don't. You don't have that fire and you're just constantly seeking and fishing for praise and attention, when in reality, I think it's for most people, it's a combination of both. You know, if I think about the training I'm doing, God, if it was only external motivation and I didn't find some intrinsic joy in the training, putting in the hard work, I don't think there's any way that I would be able to stick to the program that I'm on. Not a chance. On the opposite end, if it was only the training, or if it was just me in a bubble and I couldn't tell anyone else about what I was doing, there would definitely be mornings where I would probably find it pretty hard to stick with the training plan, and I would make some sort of excuse to get out of it. So I actually think it's been a pretty good balance for me. Oh, I also failed to mention, or I know I talked about it in another video, but you know, at my age, nearing 40, maintaining one's physical and mental health becomes more of a priority, more of an intrinsic motivator. That's been a big one for me, just getting my blood work and all that stuff squared away. You know, I've done a few of these running talks now, and I found that when I'm talking to the camera, the run goes by super duper fast. Now, I'm not running very fast at all. Quite a slow pace, actually, but I don't know. Time flies by. So I take that to be a good sign. And then, of course, a lot of times on the erg, on the rower, time seems to stand still. It's amazing how your mind can play tricks on you like that, both ways. I've come to really like these runs, really enjoy them. I think less because of the run itself, but talking these sorts of things out loud helps me process them and helps me, I think, reconcile oftentimes my own conflicting emotions. So I find them very therapeutic. Would love to know how you all think about motivation and what motivates you these days, especially those of you who maybe are at a similar life stage or have been here before, and what your thoughts are. How do you keep the fire burning? Despite what I said earlier about my feelings towards external motivation, I really don't think there's a right or wrong necessarily. You know, the mix and balance is going to be different for all of us. Maybe share your thoughts in the comments below. Would appreciate it. And thanks again, those of you who've been following along on this journey. Every day I still am somewhat shocked and surprised that anyone finds this content interesting. So, you know, when I started the channel, I remember thinking like, man, I'd be amazed if even 20 people find this somehow, find this content. So even though it is still a modest and very small channel, it has nonetheless exceeded my wildest expectations so far. And yes, it does provide that extra motivation on days when I'm feeling a little out of it. So big thank you to all of you, or any of you who spent any time watching this channel. It really does mean a lot. And as you've heard me say before, I don't know where this journey ends, but I know it's nowhere near the end at this point. So I've still got a number of goals that I'm really excited about pursuing, and I think as long as I can find new goals, new targets to hit, I'll keep pushing forward in some way, shape, or form. So stay tuned. But until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep chasing. Peace.